to give full clips out of them sparring because they were about to fight. Like Jake's clips were 13 seconds, 10 seconds. Still made a 20-minute video out of it though. No, my point is you don't need to put out all this full footage and stuff. In fact, Jake's not doing it either, so it's not just Mike. But when we go through this, you see some head movement, you see some shots across the guard, but what you do see a lot of is Mike's body trying to keep up with his mind. At least that's what I see, right? Because these are the same entries Mike Tyson used to take, right? Off the jab, boom, roll underneath, get his weight onto his lead leg, come back up, jab, right hand, and then usually a left hook behind that, or maybe a left hook and then the left uppercut or whatever. But you saw Mike move like this, very squared up, head off center line, trying to slip and roll punches, right? He actually tries to slip what I think is just muscle memory outside of a right hand and roll underneath the jab, then come back, jab, right hand. And he does it again here. You can kind of see the other side of the angle. I don't know if this is the same angle, but you see him jab, right hand again, just like he hit the bag. How you practice is how you play. And again, it's lunging in, which I do worry about because Jake does have a nice uppercut. He does have a nice left hook. He does have a nice overhand. But it is Mike charging forward, right? Just coming into range. And it is behind the jab, but still there are pockets here where he definitely is open, but 4-punch combination there. This is what you like to see from Mike, right? If you are looking at, the best approach to what you want to see from Mike Tyson, it's this. It's moving in behind the jab, behind that shoulder. Now, again, he doesn't get to the target he wants to. And again, I think that's more so his mind commanding him to do what he was able to do, and maybe his body just not being able to get there, because old Mike would be able to pop that jab a couple times and close this distance where his sparring partner does a good job framing here and getting himself away from the danger. But then Mike follows right back up and goes jab, right hand. He is reaching for this right hand a bit and falling in behind. I think that is the biggest difference. Not that Mike didn't do it. I think that the glaringly obvious big difference here is that because he is 58, that this lunging in is his way of compensating for not being able to close that distance and remain on balance and then get to the spots, whether it's because his knees or because just he didn't have the explosiveness, which I've tried to tell you guys is the big reason that Mike Tyson was able to put guys out flat as an undersized heavyweight. Yes, he was strong. Yes, he had, power in his hands, but his feet, his footwork, his explosiveness to get there was a major reason for Mike's, ability to adopt the peekaboo style like he did. And you're just not seeing that same pop here as a 58-year-old. I mean, again, this is where you worry a little bit. If Jake is covered up in the high guard, then you got no problems. Cool. We're here. This is what you want to see from Mike. You want to see him close this distance and be inside where I would call the safe zone. Because at range, I think he can get picked apart a little bit. And definitely if this is how we're entering, right, with this lunge in and just looping right hand behind it. But once he's there, I think Mike can be a killer here. And then he tweets out, this is the next day, 2 days later, the big clip that we've seen so far from Mike. It says, I'm just getting started. Again, we'll watch it through and then we'll come back and look at it.
Was good for today.
Yeah.
I told
You sure?
Yeah, me
Yes.
too.
You fucking sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. You sure?
Yes.
Fuck with me, it's all
Yes.
right?
Let's do this. You did great.
We're done.
We're gonna do it.
You sure?
Yes. Yeah.
Trust me. I got a lot in me.
Work, boy.
Just get started.
Ooh, shit. That right there, man, that just does something to you. Again, as much as I don't believe that Mike is going to be able to sustain a high-level attack for a very long time, I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words, because that right there is it's inside of Mike. That's what you saw in the 90s and the 80s from Mike, and that's something as a kid that, I didn't necessarily get to see a lot of, is that mentality that Mike carried. Yeah, you heard about it in interviews. Yeah, you heard about it in Joe Rogan Experience, and you could go back and watch those fights and hear Mike talk about it then, but to see that come out of him in that moment is really, really dope. But you also see another part of Mike in these last little bits where he's talking. We'll get to the sparring as well, but you see him look at Rafael Cordeiro, and he's genuinely concerned. He's like, am I doing good enough? Is that what I needed to be doing? Are you sure? You're not fucking with me. That's good. Are you sure? Like, he's still questioning a little bit if he still has it. And I love that. Obviously, it's not the greatest thing, again, for a 58-year-old Mike to be fighting. But fuck, man, I mean, he's doing it. And if he is doing it, he's trying to convince himself, or he's trying to look for that external convincing of, do I still have it? He's trying to answer that question. And honestly, yeah, it does sound like a little bit of a concerning thing, but to be able to be honest and ask that question and have those thoughts out loud and on camera and all that, I think it's a good thing. It's real. It's the truth. Not hiding from it. He's there. Woo, that gets you fucking fired up. And this is why it's a small part of me. because I do think Jake wins this fight, and I do think it gets, pretty ugly.